Hello, welcome to our very first unit preview. If you are accessing this video, you're either a Spanish 1A teacher or you are a leader that is supporting Spanish 1A. Either way, welcome. I'm excited to be providing this resource. This video will walk you through the teaching and learning highlights of the unit. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Crystal Mendes and I'm the Spanish 1A teacher from Uplift Luna. I will serve as the Spanish 1A content teacher leader for the network and the subject group lead at Luna. I am very excited to work with you this year. I was born in Mexico, but I've called Dallas my home since I was 8. I have 2 younger brothers. One just graduated this year from Uplift Heights and will be going to Midwestern State University, and the other is going to the 5th grade. So Uplift is close to my heart. I'm vegetarian and I share one dog with my family. Our unit title is ¿Quién soy yo? This unit is 8 lessons long and starts on August 15th. Here we have stage 1 of our unit plan. Let's start with the statement of inquiry. Relationships are formed through communication. Las relaciones se forman a través de la comunicación. It could be important to our scholars because for many of them, this will be their first year at a new school with new teachers and new peers. They will be meeting new people at school and many of them will form new relationships. My global context is identities and relationships because language is connected to being human. Scholars will explore the role of communication on their identity and relationships. One activity that I plan on doing early in the year with my scholars is giving them a worksheet that will ask them questions about who they are, what they like, family, and characteristics. I plan on placing their worksheets around the classroom and they will eventually learn how to say many of those things in Spanish. My key concept is communication because through the exploration of the Spanish language and the process of learning the language, our scholars will be exchanging, expressing, and transforming all kinds of information, ideas, facts, and opinions. My related concept is message because scholars will communicate in several ways. As a teacher, it is our duty to allow our scholars to build healthy relationships in the classroom. And I think as Spanish teachers, we have a lot of content that has the ability to bring scholars together. Communication is the basis of what makes us human, and it also bridges communication across the globe. One way to get our scholars thinking is through inquiry questions. I love conceptual question number 1. ¿Cómo te beneficia aprender español? How does learning Spanish benefit you? This is our first unit, so scholars will be able to see why Spanish is meaningful, whether it's beneficial because they can communicate with their family or because they want to travel the world. They'll be able to research and come up with their own answers to this question. Debatable questions really help our scholars develop their reasoning skills. I'm excited about question number 2. ¿Es mejor la comunicación digital o la comunicación cara a cara? A lot of our scholars communicate using some form of technology, so they'll be able to relate to this question. Some of the TEKs in this unit are around responding to questions in spoken and written conversations. I will be using the TPRS framework a lot this year, so TPRS definitely targets their listening and speaking skills. We have another TEK around inferring meaning of unfamiliar situations, which scholars will be doing when they are exposed to new stories or vocabulary. The knowledge and skills section really allows us to see the content our scholars will be exposed to. In this unit, we will be able to use most of the skills throughout the rest of the year, like telling time and classroom directions. As you can see, we will get a little exposure to SED and ESTA. For this unit, our scholars will have the opportunity to make connections between Spanish and math. For this section, I suggest meeting with your 6th grade math teacher to see how these connections can be made. I know I would like to see my scholars maybe rewriting math problems in Spanish because they will be learning their numbers, but after meeting with the math teacher on my campus, this may change. Now we get to stage 2 of our unit plan. This assessment was one that I did with my scholars last year. The goal is for scholars to communicate with primary scholars through a book that will allow them to be lead characters. They will be authors and illustrators, and the situation behind this is that children at an Uplift primary school will no longer have a Spanish teacher. The scholars are pretending that they graduated with a degree in Spanish and art and have published several books. They have been hired to create a book that will help other scholars learn basic Spanish skills. There are a few things that scholars must include in their projects, such as the months, days of the week, weather and seasons, telling time and body parts. However, there is no requirement on how to write the book. In the past, some scholars have used stories, others have used pictures, and others have made interactive books. This is an opportunity for scholars to be creative and to come up with their own way of teaching what they have been learning, while also creating something that represents them. Scholars will connect to the SOI through this project because they will be engaging with others, in this case primary scholars, while analyzing their own characteristics. For this GRASP project, Criterion D will be assessed. The task-specific clarifications are on the right-hand side. In order for a scholar to get a 7 or an 8 on their project, they will have to make no grammatical errors, and the project will be easily understood, and they will use basic phrases. As you may know, approaches to learning are developed throughout the unit, and they are skills that we want all of our scholars to develop because they are needed outside of school as well. During my first year of teaching, I didn't communicate these skills to my scholars, so they weren't aware that our goal was to develop these skills. This year, I plan on being explicit about ATLs. One that I am excited about is organization skills. Because scholars will have multiple assignments, I plan on including a few time management tools in some of my lessons. Some of the suggested strategies are listed on the right side. TPRS is a method with a lot of interactive tools. The first day of TPRS is Ask a Story. With student actors, they act out a story. After Ask a Story, you would have scholars translate the story in several different ways. On the third day, you would give scholars extended readings, and you could even act out some of these extended readings as well. And then finally, you would give scholars a 5-minute timed writing in which they would rewrite a story. So scholars get a lot of exposure to the same story, so they are comfortable once they have to rewrite that story. And with TPRS, props are used and scholars respond chorally to reduce the affective filter. Some formative assessments that you see here are based on TPRS stories. If you are having scholars rewrite stories, I suggest focusing on a few things that scholars are doing well in their writing. Some of the tools used for differentiation can include giving scholars the vocabulary they will need for that day or allowing them to pre-make vocabulary note cards with pictures. A lot of the time, it just involves asking your scholars what will help them learn better. If guided notes are used in your class, a lot of the time it will also help to give them these notes before you start the lesson. And then finally, making real-world connections is one of the things that I really enjoy when delivering a lesson. These are just a few general ones. Scholars are usually more engaged when you do relate the content to their lives. Most of the resources listed here will be on Blackboard. A lot of them are TPRS resources, and even if you aren't doing TPRS in your class, you can use some of the activities found in them. Pobreana is a book that my scholars will be reading. There is a free PDF copy of this book online, and the teacher's guide has some really great activities for before and after reading. Since literacy is a non-negotiable, your scholars should be exposed to reading and writing on a regular basis. Lesson number 1 is the lesson that uses the TPRS method. Some teachers use yes or no questions based on the story for the exit ticket. I decided to do an exit ticket that uses some of the lines from the story, but it can also be used without a TPRS story for assessing greetings and tú versus usted. If a key point is a vocabulary word, it is taken from the CA. I also incorporate TPRS vocabulary in my stories. The objective with TPRS is for scholars to receive as much comprehensible input as possible. So the objective is for scholars to understand the story and to respond to questions. If you aren't doing Ask a Story, you can always incorporate Quora translations and volleyball translations in class. This is day 2 and day 3 of TPRS. Usually on day 2, you would go over the story from the previous lesson and do the 3 reading steps. But for this lesson, I decided to start a new story since Unit 1 is a bit shorter than other units. Then on day 3, I plan to go over both stories with the 3 reading steps, that is Quora translation, volleyball translation, and Pardo translation. And then I would give scholars a written story exit ticket where they would rewrite the story. These are the last days of the unit. Scholars will be working on their GRASPs project. I didn't place the unit exam on the unit plan because I have found that scholars may be needing an extra day to review. For the unit exam, Realidades and TPRS both have exams created that you can always modify. This is the last part of our unit. From my experience, this part of the unit is often forgotten, but setting reminders to complete this part throughout the unit can help. These reflections can help plan for the same unit next year and also for our next unit. We have come to the end of our first virtual unit preview. If you have any questions, you can reach me at cmendez@uplifteducation.org, or at 214-789-9237. Thanks for watching.